have eyesight issues, need new glasses, so you might see me doing this with my little flashlight so I can read my own notes. Thank you, everybody, for having me here, and I am not a good public speaker. My path has always been teaching and sharing and storytelling, and so when I was making my prayers, because I had gotten some messages about talking in public about what we do, because it's not just about me, and I got a very resounding yes, that it was time to step up and start letting the community know, instead of just individual talking with one person one-to-one, about what we do and what we offer, and how did we get here? How did we get here? It was years and years ago, and I think it was like I'm going to tell some stories, which for me are filled with what I call magic. And when you are given an inspiration or a vision, if you want to call it, I call them my hits. I get my hits about where to go, who to be with, what I'm supposed to do next, and how when we pay attention to all of those things and we listen with our heart to what others are telling us or messages that others have received, how it leads us to that exact right spot, always. Sometimes we're out and we're moving and we're doing, sometimes we are in that place of introspection to feed ourselves, to fill up our own well. We just did, up on my land, I offer prayer dances, several prayer dances every year up on my land, as well as ceremonies and vision quests and lodges. And we just finished yesterday the final prayer dance for the year. So I was doing a lot of talking, so I'm a little hoarse today because I was helping the chief out. I was her co-chief. This journey of how I got to this present moment began way back in 1983, 84, 85, somewhere in there. And I was living down in Orange County. I was working in offices, managing a prepaid healthcare program. I worked for 2 different companies. And I had recently been fired from the last company I was with, which actually turned out to be a total blessing. So I was finding my new pathway. Where was I supposed to go from here? Thank you, Marley. The babies always tell us which way to go, okay? So I was doing fairs and I was doing readings at this wonderful place called Learning Light Foundation then, and they have since changed their name to something else, and I don't remember what it is now. But I was with my good friend Nancy, and we were vending. We had created some goodies and treats and jewelry and special shirts and all that. And I was what I call, and this is not a derogatory term, I was very yuppie. I dressed very LA, very Orange County, always had the nylons on and the shoes and the high heels and the makeup. My hair was very short and it was very blonde. And at the end of the fair, my friend and I, Nancy and I, were packing up, and I could feel her looking at me, and I went, why are you staring at me? And she goes, oh my goddess, I just saw you. And I went, yeah, we've been here together all day. I mean, what's to see? And she said, no, I saw you. You're living in the desert. You're wearing Levi's a lot. Your hair is not colored and it's long. And you're wearing moccasins and sometimes you have a braid. And she goes, and you have feathers. And I went, you are completely insane. So, long hair, mocks, which I wear a lot, which is what it's been for the last 30 years practically, okay? Fast forward just a little bit, I was introduced through another friend of mine to a wonderful Cherokee woman who called herself the half-breed. And, yes, and my friend who had introduced her to me, she took me to her home one day, and this woman made the Indian tacos for us, and she threw cards for me. And she said, the biggest message that I have for you today, she said, if you will stop coloring your hair and let it grow, you will know who you are and why you're here. So there's the second message about the hair. So I went, made my prayers, stopped coloring my hair, started to let it grow, and I haven't cut my hair since. I mean, I trim it so that I can look decent, but the other magical thing, and I'm asking all of you to find the magic in these stories for me, because I chose to pay attention to what I had been told and looking for, wow, look what happened here, look what happened there. This is exactly what my friend Nancy told me in 1983 or 84 or whatever it was. This is exactly what my half-breed sister told me about a year later, because I had been managing in big box retail, and I had left that, searching for another pathway. I had taken a stress leave, and when the keys were offered for me to come back, I decided no. I told them they could keep the keys because I knew I wasn't supposed to go back to that. What led me to this area was my husband and I had been married for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, and I decided I didn't want to be some little old grandma living in an apartment in some city and paying rent increases every 6 months. And I let him know I really want my own home. I want to own my home. I want to own land. Because I knew that what I was being called to do would require that I had a reasonably spacious place to invite people to come, and I would need some land. My husband was a Vietnam vet. He's been in spirit for the last, 12 years or so. And he said, well, I've never used my VA loan. He said, so you do all the paperwork, you get the approval from the bank, you find us a place, and he said it needs to be what was then called a VA no-no, which meant no money down and no money out of our pocket for anything. So we looked. Almost a year I was searching for property. And then I'd drag him along to, oh, hi, we have a house to look at, or we have this, or whatever. And what we found during that year, we found a house that was absolutely perfect, but it was built on what I called a postage stamp. And I knew we needed land, or we would find a piece of land and the house would never have passed a VA inspection. So my beautiful friend Nancy, again, said to me, because I had been coming out here for a number of years to do ceremony and questing and all that with Grandma Lupe. Some of you know her, Grandma Lupe Molina, who is now in spirit. And I loved this area. I just loved it. I never saw myself living here because I had already lived up in the other high desert years ago. But my friend Nancy said, when I was talking to her about the dilemma, I said, we can't find anything. I have a check. I have a check to buy a house. And I said, I can't find anything. So she said, have you considered that perhaps you're looking in the wrong place? And I went, I wonder what that means. A couple of weeks later, I had a young woman who was in a Vision Quest ceremony. Mama. And I brought her out here to Grandma Lupe's property. And on the way back home, when her work was completed, I stopped along the highway and I picked up the telephone numbers for 2 real estate agents. And one of the agents called me back. And I quickly called my friend Nancy and I said, I think we're going to look at property up on the high desert, Joshua Tree, et cetera, et cetera. And she goes, oh, good. And what she said was, okay, this is the land that I see. You have a lot of land. It's a beautiful home. You're going to have trailers there. She said it's something about growing corn. And she said you're going to know the plants on the land. You'll know it's the right place. And she said, and I want you to look for the sun and the moon. There is a vision dance that is done on our land, which she knew nothing about. There's a women's prayer called the Dance of the Green Corn, which had not yet been birthed into the physical. And she knew nothing about the 4-day prayer dance that we offer, which is called the Sun Moon Dance, which comes out of Grandfather Joseph Rail, Beautiful Painted Arrows, Teachings and Vision. She knew nothing about that dance. So I was chuckling. Okay, I'll look for the sun and the moon, and when I find it, I'll know it's the right property. So this was brought her home on a Sunday, called the real estate agents on a Monday. One of the agents called me back. I told her exactly what I had and what we needed. VA, no, this is what we have to spend. We were out here looking at property. It was either late Wednesday or early Thursday morning of that week. We were in escrow by Friday afternoon. When you're in the right place and you pay attention, and I knew it was the right property because I listened to the magical message that my friend had given me, because I remembered when I was reviewing in my head the properties that we had actually seen that day. I went, okay, we got lots of land. Part of it is cleared. The house is beautiful. We have room to do this. We have room to do the other thing. And then it dawned on me. I said, oh gosh, I have to look for the sun and the moon. And what I remembered was I was sitting in the back seat of the agent's car, and I was reading street signs as we were heading up to the property. Sun Via, Sun Oro, Sun. And I went, oh wow, there was the sun. Where's the moon? There is a street up by my home called Luna Mesa. And I went, okay, this is it. So coming to the land where I am now, and being blessed to do the work, we call it the work, the sacred work, has been one of the most amazing adventures of my life. And you know how some adventures have bumpy roads and potholes and detours, turnarounds, U-turns. I'm not going to say that it's been easy because it wasn't. We are always, I believe, when we are allowing ourselves to find the magic the magic. There are always challenges. Always challenges. We choose to move through them rather than try to get around them. At least I do, because I believe that when you are confronted with a challenge, when you refuse to move into that challenge and receive the lessons that you are supposed to get from that and learn as much as you can from that circumstance, if you keep circumventing, you're going to miss the lesson. And the lesson is going to present itself over and over and over again until you choose to walk through it. So it has been, for me, it has been a magical adventure, because all of those years ago, 84, 85, whatever it was, when my friends saw me wearing Levi's and had long hair, I had actually been given, it was like the planting of the seeds for something more, because we had a very good friend who had a little tiny center over in Stanton. And I thought, wow, that would really be something to aspire to. I could open a center, we could offer classes, we could have little gifts, we could, all these things that we could do. Rainbow Stew in the west end of Old Town Yucca Valley is the fulfillment of that dream. It's the fulfillment of that dream. And when we allow ourselves to experience the magic and to follow the heart-led dream, it becomes bigger than we could ever have imagined. I never would have imagined that Rainbow Stew would be what it is today. My business partner, Stacy and Michelle, and I just stepped into our 13th year there. It's a long time. It was like, how did that happen? Because, number one, I'm not any older. I'm not any older, but the babies, this one that I know, and all of the other children that I've seen since I moved out here, the people, the families who come to the land, I see some of the kids like from year to year, every 6 months. I'm not a really tall person, but most of them are, like this now. How is that even possible? The other growth in the dream, because if we don't bring and invite our young people in, and if we don't allow our families to come and babies and little ones to sit in our circles with us, then what is the point of doing what we're doing? We want everything to grow. We want everyone to prosper and be abundant and to know what a love-filled circle is really all about. The energy of this center is really beautiful. It's been a very long time since I've been here. Really long time since I've been here. And this is absolutely beautiful. The last time I was here was quite a number of years ago, and it was not this pretty. It's absolutely beautiful. It's really nice. Really nice. And the energy of the work that goes on here is really incredible. I hear all good things about everyone here. I'm looking at my notes, and I'm trying not to have to use my flashlight. Just little things that I wanted to touch on. When I was told that I had 20 minutes to speak, I went, I don't think I can talk that long. And I really don't think I can talk that long. The only other thing that I would like to share is my two favorite quotes. Always, always seek to find the unity within your diversity. I think that's one of the key actions, heart space things that we can do. Come coming together in good ways, being willing to talk and share and discuss our differences in a good way, and always honoring what anyone chooses to do. There is, in the medicine wheel teachings that I was given to share, there's a beautiful wheel of beliefs. I mean, as there are wheels of beliefs and progress of beliefs in other ways also. And no matter what path you choose on that wheel, when you are walking in honor and love and integrity, harming no one, including yourself, you always have that opportunity when you're walking the path. We're all headed to the center. So you always have the opportunity to see how other people are walking their pathway in the same way that you're walking yours. That's the key. And honoring each and every way of walking has always been so important to me. And bringing families together, communities, families of different ways of praying and all that. It's not easy when you have been charged with and blessed by a particular tradition, to be in that place where you're bringing forward what you have been given to do, and other families are there, and honoring what they do as you honor what they do, and they honor what you do. It isn't always easy to bring the communities together because people get locked into particular ways. So I have always felt that that is part of my job. So I will continue inviting all of the diversity that I can onto the land to present people with that opportunity to find that unity within the diversity. The other quote that I love is, the process of getting there is the essence of being there. So whatever you choose as your process for getting from point A to B to C to X, Y, Z, however that process that you choose for yourself, the essence when you arrive is going to be the same as the process. So you meet your challenges with love in your heart, you move through them the best way that you can, and that is the energy that you're going to take into the essence of what you're going to take into the completion. So it's beautiful. I thank you very much. Does anybody have questions?
No, but that was wonderful.
I brought as my anchor, I brought my beautiful little rose quartz thing, because I try to anchor and keep my feet on the ground and all that. And when I picked this out, because it's pretty heavy, and I knew a couple of the people who were going to be here today, and I thought, you know what, if they're not paying attention, if I could see them.
With love.
With love, because it's rose quartz.